Welcome friends. Today we are presenting a beautiful, adventurous and magical story, The Merchant and the Genie. So let's start the story. There was once a merchant who had much substance and traded largely in foreign countries. One day, as he was riding through a certain country, whither he had gone to collect what was due to him, there overtook him the heat of the day, and presently he espied a garden before him. So he made towards it for shelter, and alighting, sat down under a walnut tree by a spring of water. Then he put his hand to his saddle bags and took out a cake of bread and a date, and ate them, and threw away the date stone, when behold, there started up before him a gigantic Afrit with a naked sword in his hand, who came up to him and said, Arise, that I may slay thee, even as thou hast slain my son. How did I slay thee, son? Asked the merchant, and the genie replied, When thou threwest away the date stone, it smote my son, who was passing at the time, on the breast, and he died forthright. When the merchant heard this, he said, Verily, we are gods, and to him we return. There is no power and no virtue but in God, the Most High, the Supreme. If I killed him, it was by misadventure, and I prithee pardon me. But the genie said, There is no help for it, but I must kill thee. Then he seized him, and throwing him down, raised his sword to strike him, whereupon the merchant wept and said, I commit my affairs to God, and recited the following verse. Fate has 2 days, a troubled one, the other lowering, and life two parts, the one content, the other sorrowing. Say unto him that taunteth us with fortune's perfidy, at whom but those whose heads are high doth fate its arrows fling. If that he hands of time have made their plaything of our life, till for it long protracted kiss, ill have upon us spring. Dost do not see the hurricane, what time the wild winds blow, smite down the stately trees, alone and spare each lesser things. Lo, in the sky are many stars, no one can tell their tale. But to the sun and moon alone eclipse brings darkening. The earth wears many a pleasant herb and many a plant and tree, but none is stoned save only those to which the fair fruit cling. Look on the sea and how the waves float up upon the foam, but in its deepest depth of blue the pearls have sojourning. Cut short the speech, said the genie, for by Allah, there is no help for it, but I must kill thee. No, O offer it, replied the merchant, that I have a wife and children, and much substance, and I owe debt and hold pledges. So let me return home and give every one his due, and I vow by all that it is most scared that I will return to thee at the end of the year, that thou mayest do with me as thou wilt, and God is witness of what I say. The genie accepted his promise and released him, whereupon he returned to his dwelling place and paid his debts and settled all his affairs. Moreover, he told his wife and children what had happened and made his last disposition, and tarried with his family till the end of the year. Then he rose and made his ablution, and took his winding sheet under his arm, and bidding his household and kinsfolks and neighbors farewell, set out much against his will. to perform his promise to the genie. Whilst his family set up a great noise of crying and lamentation, he journeyed on till he reached the garden where he had met with the genie on the first day of the new year, and there sat down to await his doom. Presently, as he sat weeping over what had befallen him, there came up an old man, leading a gazelle by a chain, and saluted the merchant, saying, "What aileth thee to sit alone in this place, seeing that it is the resort of the jinn?" The merchant told him all that had befallen him with the Ifrit, and he wondered and said, "By Allah, O my brother, the God faith is exemplary, and the story is a marvelous one. If it were graven with needles on the corners of the eye, it would serve as a warning to those that can profit by example." Then he sat down by his side, saying, "By Allah, O my brother, I will not leave thee till I see what befalls thee with this Ifrit." So they sat conversing, and fear and terror got hold upon the merchant, and trouble increased upon him, notwithstanding the old man's company. Presently another old man came up, leading two black dogs, and saluting them, inquired why they sat in a place known to be haunted by jinn. Whereupon the merchant repeated his story to him. He had not sat long with them when there came up a third old man, leading a dappled sea mule, and after putting to them the same question and receiving a like answer, sat down with them to await the issue of the affair. They had sat but a little while longer, when behold, there arose a cloud of dust, and a great whirling column approached from the heart of the desert. Then the dust lifted and discovered the genie, with a drawn sword in his hand, and a spark of fire issuing from his eyes. He came up to them and dragged the merchant from amongst them, saying, "Rise, that I may slay thee as thou slayest my son, the darling of my heart." Whereupon the merchant wept and bewailed himself, and the three old men joined their cries and lamentation to his. Then came forward the first old man, he of the gazelle, and kissed the Ifrit's hand, and said to him, "O genie and crown of the kings of the jinn, if I relate to thee my history with this gazelle, and it seemed to thee wonderful, wilt thou grant me a third of this merchant's blood?" "Yes, O old man," answered the genie, "if thou tell me the story and I find it wonderful, I will remit to thee a third of his blood." Then said the old man, "Know, O Ifrit, that the first old man's story." Quoth the genie, "This is indeed a rare story, and I remit to thee a part of his blood." Then came forward the second old man, he of two greyhounds, and said the genie, "I will tell thee my story with these two dogs, and if thou find it still rarer and more marvelous, do thou remit to me another third part of his blood." Quoth the genie, "I agreed to this." Then said the second old man, "Know, O Lord of the kings of the jinn, that the second old man's story." "This is indeed a rare story," said the genie, "and I remit to thee a third of his blood and his crime." Then came forward the third old man, he of the mule, and said, "O genie, I will tell thee a story still more astonishing than the two thou hast heard, and do thou remit to me the remainder of his blood and crime." The genie replied, "It is well." So the third old man said, "Know, O Sultan and chief of the jinn, that the third old man's story." Here Scheherazade perceived the day and was silent, and Danzad said to her, "O my sister, what a delightful story is this of thin? This is nothing, answered Shahrazad. To what I will tell thee tomorrow night. If the king let me live, quoth the king to himself, by Allah, I will not put her to death till I hear the rest of her story, for it is wonderful. And they lay together till the morning. Then the king rose and betook himself to his audience chamber, and the vizier and the troops presented themselves, and the court was full. The king judged and appointed and deposed and ordered and forbade till the end of the day. When the divan broke up and he returned to his apartments. Night third. And when it was the third night, and the king had taken his will of the vizier's daughter, Danziad said to her sister, O my sister, finish us the story. With all my heart, answered Shahrazad. Know, O august king, that when the genie heard the third old man's story, he marvelled exceedingly and swooped with delight and said, I remit to thee the remainder of his crime. Then he released the merchant, who went up to the three old men and thanked them, and they gave him joy of his escape and returned, each to his own country. Nor is this more wonderful than the story of the fisherman and the genie. What is that? Asked the king, and she said, I have heard tell, O august king, that. That's it. Thank you.